Morning, boys.
Good morning.
Good morning, and welcome to another brand new episode of Lucky Paper Radio. If you're not listening in the morning, you're doing it wrong. This is a podcast for the morning and the morning only. You took it off already. My name is Andy, and I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Anthony. Wait, I thought of one on the walk down. I was going to say...
Yikes.
I was walking back from the gym, and I thought of nicknames for both of you, and they were good nicknames.
All right, scrap it, cut it, dump it.
No, wait, give me a second. Thinking about that.
This is good radio.
Yeah, good audio here.
You know, I got a formal ADHD diagnosis. Pretty cool, huh?
Oh, really?
Recently?
Wow.
Yeah.
Alongside your autism diagnosis?
I have not been diagnosed with autism.
Yet.
Yet. Ah, what is it?
Are you going to start juicing?
All right,
Taking
I'm
Adderall?
sure I'm going to think of the nickname somewhere partway through the episode, and I'll drop it in then, Maddox.
And I'm here with Patrick
no.
Pottery Initiate Doherty.
Andy went, no.
Now I can't call him Patrick T-Boy Swag Doherty.
Good morning. I accept both of these.
Okay.
Very gladly.
Just to be clear, that's not my nickname to give. That was given to you by some of our trans friends. I'm not in a position to give that nickname.
It's like your sign name. Only a deaf person can give a sign name.
Yet.
We are here doing a tournament report. We got Patrick back in the studio to talk about Lunchbox, a tournament organized here in Baltimore by our buddy Adam that, just happened this past weekend, and I thought was not just a really great event, as, all these Cube events tend to be, but also had a couple interesting, like Adam, as far as I know, has not been to any Cube events, and so he kind of brought like an interesting new perspective to organizing these events and had a couple of ideas that I really like, and I want to share with people out there that might be considering running their own event and just share our experience as players.
What's up, bitches? I'm back.
Now, you can decide now, should we mark this one explicit, or should we have Matthew bleep all of your curse words?
For sure, bleep those mother.
Okay, great.
I
Matthew,
feel like
if you have to put a little more money on this episode, if it's going to cost a little more, just let me know. Just put it in an invoice.
Yeah, bill me, bitch.
How much does it cost for a bleep? $50,000.
It's funny because previously the bleep machine was broken, but I think it's fixed now.
That's a Comedy Bang Bang reference?
Yes.
Yeah, we're trying to do a bit.
Yeah. Anyways.
Lunchbox was a great time. It was just a single-day event here in Baltimore, walking distance from us, which is great.
The same place where we have a regular Cube night now.
Yeah, which is convenient to sort of be familiar with the space. It was just 2 drafts, which honestly is good for me. I mean, we've talked in the past about how some events some events do successfully run 3 drafts in a single day.
They try. Do they succeed? It's hard to say.
They don't usually succeed in getting me to participate in all 3 rounds. That's a lot of drafts, but 2 in a day is like a lot of magic, but definitely doable. And I just continue to love events where I don't have to travel, which is great.
And I got to tell you, I've been out of the game for a while. 2 drafts felt like a lot for me this weekend.
Did it? You feel maxed out at the end?
It was okay. I had a great time. But 3 it's crazy that we used to like bang 3-4 days in a row, whatever we were doing at CubeCon when we all started this thing.
Back when we were young men.
Yep.
And now we're old, weathered, worn down by the sands of time.
Yeah, accurate. That's how I feel, for sure.
Well, I think the event was mostly attended by fairly local people, with a couple exceptions. A few of our buds came down from New York, and the Philadelphia contingent brought a whole gaggle of Cube players. But for the most part, it was people that were from the DMV area, I would say, that were at this event.
New York was the farthest.
I don't know. Someone probably came from further.
Okay.
But
let us know in the comments if you came from somewhere north or farther.
Great job engagement farming.
Yeah.
Thanks for thinking about us.
Course.
I really appreciate it. Leave a 5-star review on iTunes. For some reason, we accrued some bad reviews on iTunes lately. I don't know why.
Maybe because we're doing a bad job.
That's possible.
That would make sense.
They didn't write reviews. They just gave us low numbers of stars.
Oh, interesting.
Low stars, no comments?
Apparently, yeah.
That's crazy. Everyone should have to go through the process that I went to leave a review, which is you have to revise it 3 times before they even accept it because of how inappropriate it was.
Yeah, it was cool to see sort of these different layers of the Cube community. We have our people that are showing up to our weekly Cube night that are pretty local, and it was great to see a bunch of people that were a little bit less local, from driving an hour, things like that. It was great to meet a bunch of new folks, and then always excellent to see both the Philly crew and the New York guys. It's just great to have these moments where we get a bigger picture and a bigger connection in the Cube community.
I really feel like I'm a Philadelphia guy at heart.
You didn't have a hat with a spinner on top, so I don't think you can actually claim that.
Obviously, I'm a water billy white trash guy. in reality, but I just feel like I got the heart of a Philly guy. I like the attitude.
I grew up in like the suburbs of Philadelphia,
Yeah.
and would occasionally spend time in the city. I would take the regional rail in and just like, bop around in high school.
Uh-huh.
And
what would you do? Would you blast cigs?
definitely not blast cigs. No, you know what I would actually do? I would go and like take photos in like the park for my artsy art kid
nice.
portfolio.
That sounds nice.
Did a lot of that. But anyway, for that reason, like, I feel like Philadelphia to me is like the default city. It's like growing up, it's like what I thought cities were. So every other
that
city
makes sense. Probably everybody has that experience of whatever city they've grown up in.
Well, no, but most people, I think, tend to like the city they grew up in or nearest to. But for that reason, Philadelphia just does nothing for me. I'm like, well, it's just like, the tofu of cities. It's like, it's not big enough to be New York. It's not small enough to have, like, cool personality.
Okay, well, now I'm offended because tofu is complex and interesting and delicious.
We got there.
Triggered him.
Yeah, we got there.
Triggered him.
I mean, Philadelphia just has so much great food.
It's a great city objectively.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
lot of
that
great
there's
art.
some, like, thing inside me where I'm just like, I don't know. I'd rather be either in a smaller or bigger city, Sound off in the comments if you are mad at my Philly takes.
Yeah. Also, if you like Philly and you want to kick Andy's ass, he lives at Street or Avenue.
I mean, you're just stealing my bit where I gave away Anthony's phone number. So.
Did that happen recently?
You don't listen to the show anymore?
I'm actually not caught up. I've had a lot going on recently.
Matthew, you're going to have to bleep that one for sure.
Or don't. I would say, and I don't think I realized it until you just mentioned it, Anthony, that probably my favorite part of the event was meeting people who were all from like Columbia or Frederick, who like can't come out, for an hour or so on a Tuesday, but are local enough that like love playing Cube and wanted to come do the event and had never done an event before, which was really neat.
Let me just say, if you're from Columbia or Frederick and you think you can't come out on a Tuesday to play Cube, we have 3 nice young men that come down from York, Pennsylvania to play Cube with us once a month. So, get good.
So challenge. The
Skill
bar
issue.
the bar has been set.
I tried to sell them on it, but I think some people's schedules are a little tight.
No, I mean, I'm hamming it up a bit. That would be kind of nuts.
But yeah, and to Adam's credit, I think one of the most important parts of an event like this is just outreach. Like, how do you get people to know about it? So I think that would be one of the most difficult parts of event running for me, and I'm really impressed that he was able to just reach a broader community than we were even aware of.
Not to mention raising over $6,000 for the Maryland Food Bank.
Kind of crazy for a
Which is incredible.
64-person event.
Yeah.
That's like a testament to Adam's, ability to go seek, fund matching. It's great.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Raised a ton of money for a good cause. I want to talk about drafts first, and then I want to talk a little bit about some of the details of the event that Adam included that I thought were really interesting inclusions. My first draft of the day, I ended up drafting Maggie's Twilight Cube. I don't know the whole title off the top of my head. It's like
the Cube version
it's
of
a
the
short
Twilight
sentence.
New Moon soundtrack.
Is that all it is?
I think that's it.
I think it's what it used to be, and now it's longer
Now
or
it's just
something.
called Twilight.
Shout out to Maggie. I love Maggie.
Maggie is great. Maggie is fantastic. I will say I had the absolutely wrong expectations coming into this Cube draft. I will be honest. I had not looked at anything else about that cube other than the title. And in my defense, it's a long title, so it took me a long time to read it, but I never got to looking at the cube description, never got to looking at the cube list, and I thought, this is a very compelling title for a cube. I'd love to see what it's like to try and capture the Twilight New Moon soundtrack in cube form. Like, I'm sure this is going to lead to a lot of really esoteric cards I've never heard of, and like, weird inclusions for flavor and vibes, and it turns out that the cube is just basically like Legacy Cube circa 6 years ago. It is not actually based on the Twilight New Moon soundtrack at all. It's just kind of like...
Did you guys listen to the soundtrack very much?
Yeah, I was going to ask. Like, you say it wasn't really tied to the soundtrack, but then you also told me pre-record that you have not listened to the soundtrack. So how do you know?
We f***ing got it.
The thing is...
Okay, here's the thing. Hold for thing.
No, you read the books? Did you read the books?
I have not. I've been exposed to nothing Twilight whatsoever, which
You
is
haven't
part
seen the
of why I
films?
was excited about it. I wanted my first exposure to Twilight to be a
Yeah.
cube about it, not the actual media itself. No, I don't think you need to have experienced the source material to appreciate a thematic cube. I played the Dune cube last night. I've never read or watched Dune, and the flavor of whatever Dune is came through so strongly in that cube that it was a delightful experience.
But have you seen Dune?
No.
He just
I just said I
no.
haven't. You're not listening to me.
Dude, you're
No, I was
literally
looking
looking
at
at
the
your
cube list.
computer.
No, I have not seen or read or done any Dune things.
So as much as that is an interesting point, I will say it's a lot easier to capture the flavor of Dune. I don't know. The Twilight New Moon
I don't know
soundtrack
what you're
seems like
arguing
something
for
a little bit
because
more
I
esoteric.
talked to Maggie. Maggie said, yeah, it has nothing to do with the Twilight New Moon soundtrack. It is just a powerful cube.
Okay, well,
Well,
she knows
I
best.
think that's also not totally true because she was just on Recross the Paths, and it was interesting to hear her kind of like walk through it. And a big part of it is just that like era of nostalgia that,
Yes.
she was growing up at this time and
Yes.
listening to certain types of music, playing Magic with certain cards. And it's in some ways more of just a personal connection
Yes.
than it is a like really mechanical or thematic connection.
Which I just did not realize going into the draft. So I quickly realized looking at the first couple packs, like, oh, this is just kind of like a powerful cube from actually the era that I kind of got interested in cube. I'm like thinking back to the first videos I watched of LSVs on YouTube, like a lot of the sort of same cards were present. Pack 1 picked one to Squadron Hawk, speculatively. There were like some powerful cards in the pack, nothing that was incredible, but I was like, I don't know how many Squadron Hawks are here. I haven't looked at the list, but if there are enough, I love doing Squadron Hawk things. I love casting Squadron Hawk and then casting Brainstorm and putting some Squadron Hawks back and shuffling them away. Like, that's all I want to do in Magic. And I ended up in a deck where white was very open. Coming out of pack 1, I had basically just white cards, and I speculatively picked up a couple of actually blue-green fixing lands that I got mid-pack, and then I wheeled from the first pack, where I took a Squadron Hawk, pack 1, pick 1, and then out of that pack, I wheeled Sorin, Lord of Innistrad, and that led to me also playing a little bit of black. I ended up with Sorin and Vindicate and a couple of other black cards, but I was mostly a mono-white deck pretty much. Honestly, I did not understand the assignment for this cube because I also saw throughout the list some things that sort of indicated maybe a token theme. Like I saw some less powerful token generators like Gather the Townsfolk, and then cards like Intangible Virtue and Signal Pest and things that seem to want to encourage me, Adaptive Automaton, that seem to want to encourage me to like go really wide. It didn't feel like that strategy really worked for me, at least. I also incidentally got punished repeatedly for putting Squadron Hawks in my deck. I will say that I didn't think I was a very good Squadron Hawk deck at the end. I ended up with 3 Squadron Hawks. Apparently there were 4 in the list. And my deck didn't actually really have anything that interesting to do with them. I didn't have any equipment for them to carry. I didn't have any ways to use the card advantage other than like a pack rat to discard extra Squadron Hawks. Like, I didn't really have ways to take advantage of them. But on top of that, my opponents also had Maelstrom Pulse to destroy all my Squadron Hawks, had Detention Sphere to exile all my Squadron Hawks, and in one case had Godsend. And I should have finished reading Godsend. I was like, yeah. It's, it gives +3/+3 and it exiles a creature when it blocks it. But then also you can't cast spells with the same name as that creature for the rest of the game, which is a part I neglected to read. So I got punished in like all kinds of esoteric ways for taking my pack 1 pick 1 Squadron Hawk and ended up with a, pretty bummer 1-2 record. Truly just a case of me not understanding the assignment there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's valuable to just underscore that so much about Magic is about, like, having a good time is about expectations. And looking through the list, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense to me why this cube is so popular. It's got so many iconic cards from that specific era that people are excited to play with in Cube. But
it's gorgeous,
if you're
too.
going
Really
in,
gorgeous.
oh yeah, there's all kinds of cool promos from that era that I find very attractive compared to maybe the promos of different eras.
I don't see why you got to compare. You can just say you find them attractive.
You're right. Great point. And it makes sense that if you're going in like thinking I'm going to do something that's going to be thematic, I'm going to have some like weird wacky build around, and then that doesn't really pan out. Just not meeting those expectations can be not the best time.
I had a fine time. I just, I only had 2 drafts of the day, and I was excited to draft cubes I had never seen before, and hopefully some kind of like interesting cubes. And then I was like, I kind of ended up in like a legacy cube from 6 to 10 years ago, which is not what I intended to do, but
Right.
I think it certainly meets the goals as described. Now, is the title of the cube good? We could discuss that. We could discuss that separately. I find the title of the cube to be somewhat misleading, but that's just me. And like you said, it's about Maggie's personal relationship to that era and those cards.
Since you mentioned it, how did you pick cubes? Did you just go full random?
I wanted to, except there were so many local cubes and so many cubes I had played before that I did not have the opportunity to exclude cubes I had otherwise played. So instead what I did was I just ranked the cubes I hadn't played, which were much fewer. And so I had to, put them in some order just by nature of the ranking system, but that was basically how I did it.
How about you, Patrick? Were you full random?
I went full random. Yeah. I blocked off, I don't know, some of your guys' cubes, I think.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Some of the
So not full random.
sort of full random, you could say.
Is that a joke? I don't get it.
Well, let's not dwell on it. I also went full random, except for excluding my own cube. I had regular cube in the event. Would you draft one?
I drafted Red Terror.
Oh, right. I was in that pod with you.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
How'd your draft go?
I liked that cube a lot, and I was slightly peeved because I really did want to just draft some of the weird stuff that was there that I had never drafted.
If only there was some way for you to have preferences.
Yeah.
What is the energy in the studio this morning? Patrick saying things that objectively are not jokes and then looking around the room for a round of applause.
No, that's
and
not
I'm
true.
playfully ribbing him, and he's acting like he's incredibly offended. No one can see the faces you're making. It's bad radio.
You can take a picture of that face and just, post it somewhere now.
I'm not offended. Maybe it's just early. I don't know. Honestly, maybe I'm a little distracted. Andy's got the sluttiest little shorts on right now.
Yeah, they are pretty slutty. See how you can see through the side here? Like this, you can see skin tone
You're looking
through there?
good. Bulge is looking good.
I was at the gym.
Yeah, of course. You got to be at the gym. No, I was just thinking about how I scrubbed out of that draft. But I think it's important to kind of this is some cope, but I do feel like sometimes when I feel like I have a good deck and I'm like, all right, I'm going to have some fun, and then I have a bad beat. It's like nice to be humbled first thing in the morning, because then it all feels like it's uphill from there.
Buddy, that draft started at 1 p.m.
I was going to say the same thing. The draft started at 1 p.m. If that's first thing in the morning,
you're
living a young man's life.
No, I'm not. I'm living clean. I just meant figuratively.
Sure.
Yeah. I drafted what do you call it? What is black when it's blue and white and red? Jeskai. I got there. We got there. I drafted a Jeskai controlling type deck, and my first opponent was really nice guy who was from Colombia, and we had a couple of great games, and then on game 3 I just totally punted. At the end of the game, I tapped my mana wrong, and he had a big beefy guy that I was going to remove with a Terminate, I think, and I just tapped my mana wrong, and I had passed the turn, and it was like just a rookie mistake.
Now you say you tapped your mana wrong. You had Terminate in your Jeskai deck?
So you're playing Dark Jeskai.
Yeah, I was playing Dark Jeskai. Yeah, I was playing 4 colors.
I was in the same pod. I felt similarly where I was like, I want to try these new things, but, there's some limitations on, just because there were so many local cubes, I was like, what, it's going to happen. We'll probably play something local, something not. And I've played this cube before. I enjoy it. I took Moloch and... what is this card called? Escape to the Wilds were my first 2 picks, and I had actually just talked to the cube designer, and he's like, I feel like green is pretty good in this cube. This is a cube that's mostly red cards, but there are all 5 colors. Or maybe I should say it's 50% red cards. It's very heavily red.
Maybe even more so if you include all the red cards that are also gold.
That's a good point, yeah. So I was feeling really good about this start, and green felt pretty uncontested, so I thought by the end of the draft my deck was pretty solid. I do feel like this cube has some interesting features about sort of where the powerful cards are. There's a lot of powerful cards at 4 mana, and I feel like some of the cheaper cards are a little bit underpowered, so I was really focused on trying to fill out my curve and just be able to keep pressure on my opponent and then generate a lot of advantage with things like Escape to the Wilds. But some of those early plays I felt like were a little bit weaker and not necessarily actually able to keep pace. And that's honestly pretty much how my games played out. I did win my first round where I was able to do that. I was able to keep the pressure on and then cast an Escape to the Wilds and essentially draw 5 cards. It's kind of a crazy play. So it was good games, good solid match that I was able to win, but they were, meaningful interactive games round 1. Round 2, I just couldn't keep the pressure up, and it's I got to the point where I was able to cast Escape for the Wilds. I got lucky in drawing that every game, but I was I'm just casting this and then dying. There's just no way I can win these games because my opponent just had much more effective deck that was able to have a more aggressive start.
Who did you lose to round 2?
John from, I think maybe this was your first opponent?
Yeah.
Good guy. And then round 3, I believe against Victor, he just played a backup creature, played a 2-drop into, I'm going to put 2 counters on my creature and now be attacking you with a 4/4. And I just had no answers, just no removal, no effective double blocks. And just it's kind of one of those weird games that's just this is sliding away from me. And it's one creature. Why can't I just deal with this one creature?
Like that one game you lost to, what was the 1-drop in, was it Aether Revolt that was notoriously horrible in the limited format? It was the 1-mana 3/3 that you had to bounce a land every turn.
Oh yeah, no, that was, when it deals combat damage to an opponent, you put it back in your hand. I forget what that card is called, but it's
something Way-Beast, Wayward
Plow,
Wayward Sword
Wayward Guide Beast?
Yeah, there you go.
It's a reference to Goblin Guide.
I remember you being my opponent played that, and I was girl, they're going to win now because this card's so bad, and they beat me with it, and I was what's happening?
I was if I lose this game, I have to quit Magic forever, and then I was I don't know why I'm losing, but yeah, so overall, it's didn't end up with a great record. I only drew half of my deck. It's it was great drawing Escape from the Wilds a bunch, but I never drew Moloch. There's a bunch of other cards I was excited about trying that I never drew. And, that's just how it goes sometimes. Overall, pretty fun 1-2.
So real slow starts to the day for your 3 heroes, it sounds like.
But the vibes were good.
Vibes were good.
People were shaking the out of bags full of cans and bottles.
Yeah. There was some weird stuff.
There was hundreds of people just shaking trash.
That's not a euphemism. That's what was happening in the next room.
Yeah, there was a bottle and can collection day that apparently Adam had been told by the event staff was going to be 20 people. And it turns out that they meant 20 people were working in the event and 400 people showed up
patronizing it. Yeah.
So it ended up being a bit of a busy day at the old brewery.
But, credit to Adam for being able to figure it out and get everybody seated and playing games despite surprise collection drive.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, it probably worked to my advantage too, because I don't get overstimulated like some of our comrades do.
I definitely do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Undiagnosed. Anyway, my next draft, I ended up playing a cube called the Library of Babel, and much like the Twilight cube, I knew nothing about this cube other than I looked at the name of the cube, and this is a cube I hadn't played before. I think there were only like 3 or 4 cubes at the entire event I had not played before, and so I queued into it, and it turned out to be exactly the kind of cube I love. It was a peasant cube, save for fixing, as far as I could tell. Maybe there's a rare or 2 sneaking around in the non-land cards. And the fixing, break singleton for fetch lands. There's 3 of every fetch land, and then there were 2 of every shock land and 1 of every surveil land. So fantastic fixing, and otherwise a peasant cube, so not individual huge power outliers that were going to take over the game with absolute raw power level. I started on a fetch land, and then took a Dragon's Rage Channeler and was like, you know what, if this first draft of the day, I drafted black-white, which is a color combination I don't like to draft, and I will say it's because I end up in so many games in the mid-game just drawing 1 too many lands or, 1 too few lands, and just one of my least favorite feelings in Magic is just, I guess I'll draw 1 card and hope it's exactly what I need and have no control over my library or no sort of selection or card manipulation.
Some people like to play like that.
Some people like to just draw 1 card and then play your 4/4 and say, go.
Yes, my least favorite thing to do in Magic, honestly. So I was like, I'm not doing that this time, because I tried to draft really open in the first draft and pay attention to what was open. I think I did identify a pretty open lane, just didn't end up working out, partially because it's not my style of deck. I'm not very good at piloting or building those kinds of decks. Here I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not drafting an open lane. I'm drafting what I like. And what I like is Grixis spells, mostly blue-red, splashing a little bit of black. And that is exactly what I drafted. So ended up with a deck that is somewhere between a tempo deck and a control deck. It doesn't have really enough cheap threats to be a true tempo deck. I had Monastery Spear, Dragon's Rage Channeler, and then Young Pyromancer, Kenra, Spell Spear, and Mischievous Mystic were kind of my low end. So that's not enough creatures to reliably curve out and put pressure on. But all of those cards are also completely reasonable in the late game. I was splashing black for Unearth, Baleful Strix, Ingenious Infiltrator, and then a card I had never seen before, Intimidation Campaign, which when it enters the battlefield, you gain a life, draw a card, and your opponent loses a life. And then whenever you commit a crime, you bounce it back to your hand. Reminds me a lot of, is it Dovin's Acuity? Is that the one that is similar in blue-white, where when you cast an instant at sorcery speed, you get to put it back in your hand, I think?
Something like that. There's also Disinformation Campaign, which is a similar enchantment. Whenever you surveil, you pick it up.
Yeah. A card I'd never seen before, which I thought was quite interesting.
This deck looks awesome.
It was sick. I had a really good time, and it was exactly what I love about these kind of cubes, in that it was a archetype of deck I know I love to play, but also because it was a peasant cube, I got to play cards that I normally wouldn't see in a more powerful cube like this. So, Slickshot Lockpicker, which is the plot Snapcaster Mage, but you can only cast stuff at sorcery speed because it doesn't have flash.
Say that 4 times fast.
Slickshot Lockpicker, the sorcery speed plot Snapcaster Mage. Which part am I saying 5 times fast?
Just the card name.
Okay, I see. That card ended up being really, really sick. I had a great time with that. Intimidation Campaign was another card that I had a lot of fun with, really great. I played Pinnacle Monk here, which is one of those new MDFCs from the latest Modern Horizons that is also a 2/2 with prowess that returns an instant or sorcery to your hand in the late game, which was really fun. It allowed me to play 15 lands because I had that as a 16th land in a pinch, which was really nice. The only thing I would say about this cube that, if it were my cube, the only sort of small tweak I would make is there were a couple, more than a couple. There was a decent sort of infusion of Universes Beyond cards, which is not a problem, aesthetically for me necessarily, but was definitely noticeable on power level. Specifically, there were Assassin's Creed cards that I had not seen before and Warhammer 40k cards that were just, yeah, these are uncommons, but they're uncommons in set that was never in standard. So the rarity kind of doesn't really matter. It's made up in a sense. And they were just incredibly powerful. I had one called Sarkarian Infiltrator, which was 3 mana for a 1/2 ETB draw card, and it had Squad 2. So you could just, for every additional 2, you make another 1/2 and draw another card, and it had Flash as well. And that card is just well, this is insane. It's going to be a 3-for-1, as kind of a baseline, and oftentimes eat an attacker, and it was just kind of over the top and nuts. My opponents had this one saga I'd never seen before from Assassin's Creed, that on ETB, you exile a card from your graveyard and gain life equal to its mana value. And they had like discarded some expensive spell and they gained 7 life. And then the next turn, you put that many +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, and they drop 7 +1/+1 counters on their creature. And then the third chapter was you return that saga and the card you exile with it to your hand, and then you just do it all over again.
What the heck?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think it's
crazy.
like objectively the most powerful card in the world, because you can just, you know, if you have instant speed interaction, you can bounce or remove the creature they put all the counters on, and it's pretty slow. But in a lower power format like this, I was like, this is just a really, like, it had kind of some of that individual raw power level that I'm just like not looking for most of the time when I play a Peasant Cube. But for the most part, I had a fantastic time doing exactly what I want to do in Magic, and had really great games. Exactly the kind of games I love to have, where, you know, I had to fight first a like mid-range deck that had bigger and better cards than me, but I got to use my interaction to sort of keep them on the back foot and, like, you know, selectively kind of pick apart them and get a little card advantage. Then my second round opponent, what were they playing? I could picture their face. What was their deck?
Describe the face.
I won't do that. I don't remember my second round opponent was playing now. My third round opponent was playing a more controlling deck, like an artifact sort of matters sacrifice deck with like Mayhem Devil and stuff like that was going to the late game and trying to like grind out with a big synergistic engine. And we had some really, really long games where it was like, our game 3, it was like maybe one of us is going to deck, and that's how this game is going to end. And then I pulled it out, and I pulled it out with a card that is also in this sort of category of Universes Beyond card that is probably a little too pushed, which is Gandalf's Sanction, which is 1 blue-red for a sorcery that deals damage equal to the number of instants and sorcerers in your graveyard to target creature, and then excess damage is dealt to their controller. And my deck had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
That's
8, 9,
crazy.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14 spells, not including Gandalf's Sanction.
Yeah.
And I drew it on like with like 4 cards left in my library. And I'm like, well, you're going to take 10 now from this Gandalf Sanction. I mean, that game was a really interesting game. And then Gandalf Sanction was like, well, I waited till I drew my card that says win the game now. So anyway, love my deck. I did end up getting the 3-0, which was really cool. I really wanted one of those pins because the pins look really sick. And also, you know, I had a bad morning. So I was like, you know, bad morning Magic-wise. I had a good time fun-wise, but bad morning in terms of my Magic record.
Right, because again, started 1 p.m.
Yeah, he started at 1 p.m. Yeah. I had
It's
a bad
normal
morning
to say
before the event
morning
even
when
began.
it's just the first thing you're doing.
Yeah. And yeah, I had a great time with this deck and really love this cube.
Yeah, this cube looks sick. It's definitely like, it looks so much just like regular cube, but everything turned up a notch in terms of power level, but it's still not, you know, anything crazy. It's just like these like synergistic pieces that fit together that looks like exactly the kind of cube I'd enjoy.
Yeah, I just love that, like, I wasn't getting to turn 5 and my opponent was like, here's a 5 mana card that's like insane and you can't beat it. It's
Right,
like,
yeah.
no, we're all assembling a game plan with like smaller component pieces.
Whose cube is this?
I have no idea.
Cool. I have a question for you guys. I don't know if this is interesting or maybe this is silly, but how much do
Could
you
be both.
How much probably? It's almost probably be both, and it'll probably be dumb too. Do you still have fun if you're losing?
What an interesting question.
Yeah.
I definitely have less fun when I'm losing. I'm not too proud to admit that,
Yeah.
for sure. I think I've gotten better as I've gotten older about not having less fun when I am losing. And I'll say that I think actually my like emotional state in a match of Magic is like correlated with whether I'm winning or losing, but the actual source of my like bad feelings will be if I feel like I just didn't understand something and like squandered a draft, right? Which is, I think, less about like I don't want to lose a game because I'm a petulant child that doesn't like to lose, and more about like, darn, this is my like hobby and I play this once a week and I just kind of squandered a draft by like not understanding what I'm supposed to do, or like, you know, drafting badly and now I'm stuck with this deck I gotta play. Yeah, I don't know. I would say like I'm maybe on average 70% as happy when I'm losing as when I'm winning.
Yeah, I mean, it's more fun when you're winning. It's hard
It's
to
fun
get
to
around
win.
that.
So obviously, right?
And I think-
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I think I would say it's very easy to have fun when you're winning, regardless of what is happening. It is possible to have fun when you're losing, but for me, there are many specific things that are just exacerbated. So, like, yeah, like you mentioned, Andy, in my draft last night, I had a little bit of a frustration because we just like had some miscommunications about the rules, about just like how some cards that didn't have reminder text worked, and it's like that's frustrating to be like, oh, I'm not losing because of like strategic error. I'm losing to like fundamental just not knowing what the cards do. And that can be kind of a drag. I think
And you wouldn't
losing-
mind that as much if you were winning and forgot what a card did for a second.
Right,
It's just like
exactly.
the
It's
thing
like-
that would otherwise annoy you is like
Yeah.
just magnified, you know?
or just cards that are like, I'm probably notable for disliking cards that are extremely complex and wordy, and that can kind of drag me down. When it's similar, it's like, I'm losing because I just can't read all this. And again, if I'm winning, it's like, great, I don't care what the last line of ability on this creature is. It's smashing your face in, and that's all it needs to do. when I'm having the most fun losing is when I still get an opportunity to like have my deck execute its plan, or if I'm losing in a way that I'm like able to take specific lessons and learn from it and be like, okay, I lost this, but I know now I need to like focus on this aspect of my gameplay. So yeah, I mean, it's like sometimes, but it's easier to have a bad time when you're losing.
It's a lot about my opponent too. Like I'll say my least favorite match
is anytime you have to play Max.
Well, we give Max a little bit of a hard time in this show only because we love Max and we know he can take it. And he, tends to draft decks that frustrate his opponents.
But he's also like the most generous opponent ever.
He's extremely generous.
That's why it feels so frustrating sometimes.
Because he's so nice about it.
Yeah, he'll literally be like, "Oh, and don't forget your trigger here."
While
he'll
I'm
be
beating you.
His legs will be crossed, and he'll sort of be like, "Oh, and also I'm going to pick this. I'm going to cast this again."
No, the match I had the least fun with, Lunchbox by far. And if you're my opponent and you're listening to this, please don't take offense to this. But was the one match I won in round 1 where my opponent was just having a horrible time, and that feels awful. Like, I don't want to win when my opponent's having a horrible time. They, were talking bad about themselves and being like, I just suck at this and, I'm no good. And it's like, that's the least fun for me by a wide margin. And on the other hand, like certain opponents, I will be very happy losing to. The dumb example is I'm always happy to lose to our local 11-year-old in our play group because he's so excited to be winning that it's just like fun to be there and losing to him. I'm always excited to lose to Daniel because Daniel's doing some unhinged thing I've never seen before, and I'm like, how are you beating me with this? I'm just having a great time.
I'm playing 5-colored Night Tribal in your Legacy Cube.
yeah.
So, like,
with a smile. You could have been a little bit more generous losing to me last night.
Your deck was really good and frustrating. I did say, great job, Patrick. You did a really good job.
I'm just teasing you. I actually feel I consider it to be a personal accomplishment when you speak to me with this incredulous tone, like you can't believe how good my deck is.
It was not my incredulous tone. That was me trying to have a good time and be nice when it was like, oh, cool, turn 3 Phyrexian Arena into draw 7 removal spells, both games. Fun.
That sounds pretty good. Good job, Patrick.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
I agree with both of you.
Should I put Phyrexian Arena in Sacred Geometry?
Yes, absolutely.
For sure.
Without a doubt.
Totally.
Yeah, run it.
Shit, what the hell?
The first thing I'll say is that I feel like I've really seen marked improvement on all 3 of us in the past 5 years since we've been spending time together, which feels great. I mean, that's the goal. I was describing trophying the draft last night to one of my partners who doesn't really know a lot about Magic, and I was thinking about how when I first showed up 5 years ago, I was 0-3ing every week. And I was like, gosh, is this embarrassing to say, or is this actually like beautiful? But I do think that like slowly, incrementally getting better at Magic is one of my biggest personal accomplishments in my life. And it feels really great, even though I don't 3-0 every time. I do from time to time.
You're a good player.
And it feels great. I think that those moments where you have really tight edges, where it goes to game 3 and both of your decks are firing on all cylinders, even if it's a bad beat where you tap out wrong or you make a wrong decision, I mean, it's incredibly complicated and there's a lot of different directions that the game can always take, right? Still feel really satisfying and are the ways that I like to reflect on how I can improve, which feel great to me. Something that I think is in for 2026 that I've been doing lately that I'm enjoying is ranking people in your friend group in sort of like a toxic but playful way.
You've been talking about this for more than a year, just for the record.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying it's in for 2026.
Great. Sure. The new hot thing is toxically ranking your friends right in front of their faces.
Yeah, so I will say, between the 3 of us, if I'm going to rank who's
the greatest lover?
Who's the best? No, I'm not going to do that. We're not trying to. We're not trying to hurt feelings here.
Well, what are you going to rank us in?
Who's the best loser?
All right.
I think number 1 is me.
Well, it's because you have so much practice.
Precisely. No, but here's the thing: some people don't even give themselves the opportunity. They lose a couple times and they say. I also think that some of you gifted and talented kids out there, there's a correlation with how like charmed your childhood was, and like how much you were always told.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, that wasn't my experience. But anyways, I think it's me, number 1, losing well, Anthony, and then Andy. But I want to say I've seen improvement in all 3 of us, and I'm really proud of all of us.
I want to say that I think in the future you should ask for consent before playing the ranking game.
It's a really good,
okay.
Really good point.
But also, that's how I'd rank us too.
Okay.
Great. Sounds like we're all...
I love you so much.
I'd kill you.
And how'd your round 2 go, Patrick? Speaking of losing graciously, how'd you do?
You and I both drafted the Science Cube.
We never played against each other.
We were together all day, and we never played against each other.
Ships passing in the night.
Whose cube is the Science Cube? Do you know?
It is, I believe, Logan.
Cool.
I'm about to buy this foil Phyrexian
Please
Arena
do.
right now.
I wish you would. What do you
one
call,
on eBay is like a solid $20 cheaper than all the ones on TCG Player.
what do you call it when it's black, green, and red?
Jund.
That's a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's not
a
tough.
tough one.
It's not tough. Here's the thing, and I will admit that I had learned how to play, and I've gotten a lot of places in my life on the backs of giants, and I think that part of why I never learned this is because I could just say, hey, what's up with this? And there's like always a guy in the room who's like so happy to answer that question for me.
It's honestly a toxic trait of Magic players
Yeah,
is
for
being
sure.
too excited to answer questions, especially when maybe someone hasn't even asked the question and you just heard,
Yes,
you know?
Yes. Yeah, without
All
a
right.
doubt.
Well, we just bought a nice Phyrexian Arena.
That rocks.
Honestly, real quick side, it's like cube design is so hard because I know the card for Phyrexian Arena. I've always known the card for Phyrexian Arena. I've been designing the Sacred Geometry Cube now for 18 months, almost 2 years, and never occurred to me. And now that it occurred to me, it's like, of course, that's a staple forever. Anyway,
I was wondering if if the EDH of it all maybe like colored some of your perception of what should or shouldn't go in. That for me is just like a card that like when I started playing Commander or whatever like a decade ago, that was like the card that you always had in your black deck because it was just. And so for me, it's like it actually felt incredibly novel to think about drafting it in a limited format and then playing it last night. And then every time I had it out, it felt great.
it's kind of a rough top deck, which I think is the criticism of it in like a 1v1 format. Like, how many times is it worse than Disenchant, or rather, worse than...
Divination?
Yes, thank you, Divination. And the answer is if you draw it late, it's pretty often. But if you get it out early, it's such a cool build around and awesome way to get card advantage. And it's exactly my kind of card, losing life incrementally as the game goes on to keep the game proceeding to a conclusion. Love it.
I had a bunch of that type of... I had removal that was like dealing me damage. I was like constantly dealing myself damage last night.
You owned me with
still...
like tons of combat tricks too, where it was like, okay, I mean, I had to block. This is again, let's not make it about combat tricks, but it's like I didn't have a choice. Like I had to block, and then just your combat tricks became these insane, 2-for-1 removal spells.
It was pretty neat. I had a couple...
Your deck was great.
I had a couple, thank you. I had a couple combat tricks that I surely couldn't tell you what they were called, but they were the kind of things that would bring the creature back to the battlefield.
Yeah.
So they would trade, but then I would still...
You didn't have this one, but like Unnatural Stamina.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Malakir Rebirth.
Supernatural Stamina?
Is that what it is?
They might both exist.
For all we know.
Who can say? So what'd you draft in the Science Cube?
So I picked one Fecundity.
Okay.
Crazy.
That's an interesting
crazy.
build around. What is that? That's an enchantment. Whenever a creature dies, you draw a card.
2 and a green. Whenever it's a world enchantment.
It's symmetrical.
It's symmetrical.
Yes.
Neat.
Yes. And it just seemed like an outlier in the pack that I was looking at, and I had never played with it. And so, I started on Fecundity, and then I just ended up in a Jund creature and removal heavy deck that was focused on accruing value from sacrificing creatures, drawing cards, and then I also, in pack 3, got a Spider Spawning, which was sick. Yeah, that deck was really fun. I went 2-1, and I had a much more fun playing Magic in the afternoon. Yeah.
So I was in the same pod with you of the Science Cube.
Real quick, what's the deal with the Science Cube?
So the Science Cube is,
Couldn't
I think
tell you.
it's driven by two things. One is aesthetics. There's just lots of different cards that in somehow connect to science.
The
or
various
like the
Simic
aesthetic of
archetypes over the
science.
time of,
For sure. There's also a very strict kind of archetype, like 2-color archetype design. So it's like, here's Boros and its equipment. Here's Simic and its +1/+1 counters. But then there's an aesthetic tie-in where it's like, okay, but it's +1/+1 counters because they represent biology. It's equipment because it represents material
Metallurgy.
science or metallurgy or something. So those two things kind of tie together. And I will say that just like drafting the cube, I didn't really look at the list ahead of time. That was definitely visible. Like there were just so many cards that screamed like, put me in your blue-green deck with +1/+1 counters and I will reward you. So my first 2 picks were a big dinosaur, because I maybe have some issues with this approach to science. Thinking about science is like,
Oh,
a
you
set
don't
of
count
disciplines.
dinosaurs as science?
No, but it's like you can science about anything. Like
Well, not
what?
magic. Magic's not real.
Great point.
Which is a lot of magic cards.
So I took a big scary dinosaur, 4-mana 4/4 trample haste, second picked in a braid, but I was seeing all these loud themes, and I feel like often in a thematic cube like this, like a really aggressive Boros deck works pretty well, and I saw a bunch of things that were just screaming like, put me in an equipment deck, and that was something I was pretty open to. My third pick, I think it was my third pick, Girapur Aether Grid. Do you know this card?
Sure do. Tap 2 untap artifacts you control to deal 1 damage to any target?
Any target. And I feel like this is, again, maybe a card that sort of like has some commander stank on it, and I'm just like, I don't know if that's really a card you can just play play in a limited deck, but it seemed powerful.
It
seemed
was playable in its limited format.
Was it actually? That's pretty cool. And I had seen this equipment theme, and especially cards like Barb Spiked. They're just like, I'm immediately 2 artifacts. So I took that and got some wheels that I was feeling pretty confident about. And I think also SRAM and Glimmerlens. I forget exactly where, but those were like, these are outliers that are really pulling me in this direction. So yeah, that's where I went. I had that Gear Report Aether Grid and also...
Which is sick with equipment, because obviously equipment does not need to tap as any part of its, use in a game. And
and especially I was looking for not just equipment, but the living weapon type of equipment, where like, this is just my creature, but it comes with an extra artifact that I'm going to be able to tap. Quicksmith Rebel also just gives a single artifact a tap to deal 2 damage anywhere. And those 2 cards really dominated. I really enjoyed my deck at the end of the day. The first match was pretty close. My opponent had a very loud vehicle deck, and they were effectively just keeping me from being able to attack while I was slowly dealing damage with my Gear Report Aether Grid and trying to keep them off having creatures to crew, which is an interesting race because at any moment they were going to be able to play a creature that was going to crew their motorcycle, that was going to crew their helicopter, that was going to just get in for a ton of damage. We were
still the worst flavor fail of vehicles.
No, I actually like that part. That part's cool. And
I actually don't know how to drive a car unless I drive a motorcycle first, and then
it's like the Batmobile. We've all seen that.
Yeah, sure. And then once I can drive a car, then I can also drive a train.
and to your question about having fun losing, I wasn't losing, but after the first match, it was okay, I'm in a emotional space where I feel I would be much happier losing because I really got to see my deck do the thing. It's yep, I played the enchantments, played all of my equipments, and got to play this close race against vehicles. It literally came down to 1 life point in game 3, which was pretty cool.
That is cool.
I had some removal Legion Extruder and Unidentified Hovership, and it was just, that was to me, a really fun thing about this cube was really getting to see how I was getting all the components that I wanted for my deck, but they really played into this theme, which was fun. Match 2, not as exciting. My opponent just had a bad draw, didn't draw many creatures, and I was just kind of able to put a bunch of pressure on, curve out, and won those games pretty handily, which, sometimes that's just how a game of Magic goes. Match 3 against Cameron was much more interesting. His deck was really sick. He had a bunch of also sort of artifacts, but in this much more slow engine-y, building up energy and accumulating a bunch of value slowly. So it was a really interesting trying to navigate, how do I keep the pressure on so that you don't have a chance to actually assemble those engines? How do I make sure I draw the right exile spell to get rid of your Hangerback Walker so you don't have a bunch of tokens that are all pumped up by your artifact lord, things like that. So yeah, that match felt a lot closer. Cameron had a cool deck, but I did manage to take the 3-0 in this cube.
Did you go to 3 games?
That was just 2 games for the second matches.
Cameron's deck was sick.
It was very
Cameron
cool.
was my only loss in that draft, and he was cooking on that one.
Incidentally, that note you just made, I think, is a mistake I see newer players making a lot, where their opponents try and do something synergistic, and they don't realize that one of the best ways to pressure them is just to force them to block, force them to use their resources. Okay, you don't have removal, you got to find some other way to tighten the screws a little bit. And they're oh well, but they might, I don't want to trade my creature for their blocker. It's yes, you do. You do want to trade your creature for their blocker because their blocker is a synergistic piece that they're almost certainly never going to block with. So you have to just keep the pressure on to make them do something,
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I want to touch on some of the really cool tournament organizing choices that Adam made for this event. This was a fundraiser, so the proceeds from the ticket sales went to charity, as did raffle tickets. There was raffles where Adam had organized these giveaways, presumably talking to local businesses to getting them to donate things so he could put them in these raffle packages. And he had this awesome bounty system, which I thought was really cool, which is basically you could buy raffle tickets, 1 ticket per match you were going to play over the course of a day. So 6 raffle tickets, basically. And for the cost of 6 raffle tickets, which I think was $25-ish, basically, you could get a bounty sticker, either put that on you or put it on a consenting friend. And basically, then you carry those 6 raffle tickets around for the day. Anybody who takes a match off of you gets one of your raffle tickets. So you have 6 in case you lose all your matches. Whatever ones are left over, you get to keep and just put in for the raffle for yourself. But I thought a very cool way to get people involved and attach the fundraising to the actual games themselves. I think we've talked a little bit on this show about how I think introducing actual stakes to Cube is not my favorite thing because it's a casual format and I don't actually want to sort of lean into people's more competitive tendencies and reward them with these actual real stakes. And a raffle ticket is a real stake, but it's so far removed from the thing you're actually going to get that it feels pretty low stakes. And here, the fact that you could buy a bounty sticker for your friend and be I want people to want to beat you more and to try harder or to care more about beating you, I thought was such a cool way basically to raise more money for charity. Spend $25, get some 6 raffle tickets. And there were a couple people walking around that had like 3 separate bounty stickers on them. Like the people had like really like upped the bounty. I think the Philadelphia crew intentionally like filled up one of their players with stickers and was like, go ahead, like try and come for this particular person. Really, really cool idea that other Cube organizers should absolutely steal.
I think to your earlier point, consent is also important there.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, you can't just be slapping stickers on your friend without permission.
It could get a little bit. I don't know. It's just about the setting the tone right and setting expectations. But that was a lot of fun.
And there were people I saw that like considered themselves poor players and were like, I'm putting a bounty sticker on me because I'll feel good giving tickets out all day.
Yeah.
It's like that'll make the losses feel more fun for me because I'll feel like I'm doing charity instead of just getting my ass kicked.
The raffle was incredible. I'm not just saying that because I won something cool.
I loved seeing your like deep gambling tendencies come out when you were sitting there with all your raffle tickets laid out in a perfect grid, numerically organized.
I saw that and I was like, I just don't understand like the logistics of gambling at all.
That's just classic like old lady looking at all of her like lottery tickets every night while the numbers are being called out.
You gotta have them laid out numerically. What am I gonna miss?
You gotta have them laid out.
If you miss it after like 20
they were
seconds,
sorted. That makes so much sense.
Yeah, of course they were.
If you miss it after like 20 seconds, they're going to move on. I think the big thing that I was reflecting on after this weekend, too, that felt so good, I think this is the first event that I'd ever been at. I believe you guys have talked about maybe 1 or 2 events that were like this past year. But not only was there the really cool raffle aspect of like prize support, there was not prize support for first or second place.
Yeah, it's just 2 draft event means you can't really even determine a first or second place.
Sure. Yeah, there just was it was just casual in that way, which felt incredible. I honestly don't have enough nice stuff to say about Adam and how well he organized this event. I thought it was really, really neat.
I maintain that like the pins for a 3-0 are the perfect amount of incentive for players to want to play well. And I think anything beyond that is completely unnecessary and sometimes counterproductive to the vibes of the event.
Yeah.
And I also think that if you are doing fundraising, this idea of like a bounty is so cool. Like it's just a really, really cool way to like make people care about their wins in a slightly different way. Like somebody that went 1-2 is actually really happy because they beat a player with a bounty sticker on them for their one match. And it like just adds texture and like layers of interest that are tied to the games. Like it's not like a completely separate thing you're doing, but it's not tied in a way that like people are like going crazy trying to spike it, because you can spike and get a bunch of raffle tickets and still not get anything in the raffle. So it's like ultimately at the end of the day, it's all like kind of a coin flip for fun.
So that reminds me, my favorite moment from the event, in addition to the bounty system, Adam would come over. I don't know if he was doing this at every draft, but I think he was. He would come over to the table and he would say, who thinks they drafted the best deck?
I will never speak up in that moment, ever.
No, of course. Go fuck yourself. Are you kidding me? And
unless that was you, and that's fine.
Respectfully.
I'm just saying I will never do it.
No, I'm saying I'll also never do it.
I will feel terrible if I think I have a good deck and then do badly. Because of my fragile...
Also, can you imagine?
My fragile, gifted, and, privileged childhood.
Well. Anyways, there is inevitably a person at the table who is so eager to say, I did.
Every time.
My deck is cracked. And my second draft, Adam came over and said, who thinks I drafted the best deck?
And I raised my hand and said, absolutely me, no question, I'm going to 3-0 this.
You should have, but you didn't. Some other person did. And Adam was like, great, here's a couple of raffle tickets. If anybody takes a match off of you, they win your raffle tickets. And that was my first round opponent, who I crushed 2-0. And it was so satisfying to like shake his hand, be like, hey, really lovely playing with you.
As a reminder, give me that ticket.
Like
you just really want to take this person
Would you be so kind as to pull those tickets out and give them to me right now?
Wow.
Really good stuff.
And you win graciously, too.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
There was also a fun theme to the whole event. It was all, Lunchbox themed, and Adam had actually had lunchboxes produced as part of the raffle giveaways. So there were lunchboxes with the Lunchbox logo on them. Everybody that was working the event, the judges and volunteers, had aprons on, and they were the lunch ladies, which was just fun. Honestly, like I said, as far as I know, and I could be wrong, but I'm like 90% sure Adam has never been to a Cube event prior to this. It's not like he's, basing this event on his experience having attended other Cube events. I think he's just a, enthusiastic guy that is a go-getter and was like, I could organize an event. And it was really interesting seeing somebody with an outside perspective to this community run an event that there's otherwise like kind of an established DNA for. And it followed a lot of those patterns, right? We were using Heat Network. It was, the same kind of format that you're used to from all these other events, but some of his sort of cool ideas to spice it up a bit were just, I think, really welcome additions to the format.
I have to share my highlight from the event, which
Yeah,
was...
please, everyone do highlight and low light. Rosebud Thorn. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Which was, regular Cube was in the event, My Cube, which is just kind of like low power, kind of plays like limited set.
Did you notice in the tags on Hedron Network, it was tagged as higher power?
No, that's kind of funny.
I mean, in this event, it was a higher power cube.
That's interesting.
I would say it was in the top 50%.
How the times have changed. After the draft, after one of the drafts, somebody came up to me and was like, hey, come here, take a look at my deck. And they had drafted a blue-white control deck, and it had Noyandar in it. And I was like, was this any good? And he was like, that was the star. That's how I won all my games. And I cast Planar Cleansing that destroy all non-land creatures.
With Awaken?
And also with
a bunch of
multiple
Noyandar
creatures already animated, and
I had never heard of that before.
And I was like, I put these 2 cards in this cube how many years ago? And
Anthony was like, I'm gonna bust!
One day, somebody's gonna do something cool with these cards, and that's how long it takes. It just takes like 6 years, and
that's beautiful.
Now we can retire regular cube. It's done.
I truly have never seen the
dreams.
Noyandar Planar Cleansing interaction before.
It's so cool. It is just great to see people like explore all the little niches of a cube that you've put a lot of time and effort into designing, and I'm glad they had a good time drafting it.
All Noyandar needs to do is untap the land, and it would be so good.
I guess so. I don't know. I have no notes. I think it's perfect as is.
I just want it to work, and I've tried to make it work, and so often I'm like, this is just so glacially
Okay, well,
slow.
now we have the secret sauce identified. We just need to go get that deck pick.
What was your thorn? Standing in the cold while a loud alarm
I had
blared,
to wait
waiting
longer
for lunch.
than I expected for my sandwich. That was probably...
That is a shame.
I already gave my thorn. It was playing that player in the first draft that was really having a bad time and winning against them and just kind of honestly wishing I would get mana screwed and just lose so that they could have a win. That was a bummer. I felt bad for that person, and it just feels bad and icky to be in that spot where you're like, you're feeling really bad, and it's somehow because of me a little bit. I don't know, I hated that. My highlight was the final match of the second draft where I ended up 3-0ing. I was playing against... Oh, God. I think his name is Noah. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting your name. Somebody who I had met before and played at Capital Cube Champs, and we had a moment that I'm sure we talked about on the Capital Cube Champs tournament report where he was playing a deck in, I forget what the cube was. It was a desert cube with some stuff, but he played the red Achroma in his like black-red deck, and then I killed Achroma and played Achroma's Memorial, which gives my creatures all protection from black and red, and it was just a very funny, and he was like, well, I just literally can't beat that card, and he had like a pretty historically bad beat that he took very well. He's a very generous opponent, and then we had 3 really great games in our final match that went really long, really interesting games, really grindy. Again, gracious opponent that I really love playing against, deck I like piloting, and a cube I really enjoyed. That was the highlight of the event for me, for sure.
I had no low lights.
Okay, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
You literally can't do that.
It's just been I took a couple months off from playing this winter, and I feel like I could get emotional right now, but it was just so special to be back in this room full of people that I have truly just all come close to as a result of doing cube events over the past like 4 or 5 years. It's so nice to see our friends from New York. It's so nice to see the crew from Philadelphia and everyone in Baltimore and the surrounding area. Just good vibes. I suppose it was disappointing to scrub out of my first draft, but I really felt like, I really mean it. I feel like it just helped me level off and be like, all right, I'm going to play some pinball and just vibe. And this is all casual anyways. And then I won a conspiracy booster box in a raffle, which is cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to Holly. Holly gave me some tickets before they left.
You ready to draft some conspiracy?
I did wonder how you got so many tickets, to be honest. You had them all laid out, and I was like, I think Patrick and I won the same amount of matches today. How did this guy get so many tickets?
Everyone follow Holly on Letterboxd. They're a good follow. Yeah, I mean, this is... Look,
you're gonna have to send me the link to Holly's profile on Letterboxd.
I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna call it like it is. This is a reminder to just go out of your way and try and be friendly. And I think try and be kind. Some people that I know were like, I can't stay, and like a bunch of people just gave me tickets before they left because.
Oh, so you're saying being kind is a great way
I'm saying having social capital will help you win.
You're having a reverse Scrooge moment where it's like, actually, it turns out you should just give people stuff when they want it because then they get stuff and they feel good.
Look, you're a gregarious guy. I have a lot of gratitude, many blessings.
I want to end here on a dumb little anecdote that actually has nothing to do with magic. It has to do with your rosebud and thorn and then getting to you and being like, I actually have no thorns. I think you'll really appreciate this story, and it also touches on my gifted and talented upbringing as a child in the suburbs. So I went to a big public high school, and I was an art kid. I ended up going to art school, and art was like a huge part of my identity, right? And in hindsight, it was kind of like when I was a little kid, I would draw a picture and all the adults would like just go goo goo gaga. They would like jaws on the floor like, it looks incredible. You're so good at this. So I think I just did it a lot because I was like, hey, this feels good. Everybody says I'm awesome when I do this. So I'll just keep doing this thing. Not that I don't like drawing. I do. But that was a big contributor to like why that was part of my identity, was because of this external validation I got all the time whenever I was like, I drew an apple and the adults were like, it looks like an apple. I'm going crazy. Anyway,
that's pretty funny.
My big public high school had a pretty mediocre art program considering how big it was, right? Like the football team got like a brand new $100,000 turf field or whatever. And, you know, the art department was always scrapping and scraping, trying to just find, you know, resources to do projects or whatever. And there were 4 art teachers in my high school. One was like classic, my favorite high school art teacher of all time. Super good connection with this guy. I would like work with him in the summers as a contractor to like, you know, help him build bathrooms and stuff. And we were just like super tight. Huge influence on me, big role model. One of them I never had any classes with because he just taught photography, and I never took any photography classes in high school. The other 2, one person doesn't really matter. The 4th guy though was this guy that I had a really tense and negative relationship with. And he was a guy who all he wanted to do his entire life was grow up and be an illustrator for Batman. This was like his lifetime goal. He like went to school to study illustration and just, I mean, I imagine it's incredibly competitive. He couldn't do it. Like he did not get a job, you know, illustrating Batman. And so he ended up teaching high school art.
And it's because of this tense relationship that you refused to acknowledge the Batmobile?
Exactly that. He didn't like me. I think partially because I had a really strong connection with this other teacher and was like, he was clearly my favorite and there was no question. I also think, if I'm, you know, putting modesty aside, I think he saw me as like very talented and was like a little maybe jealous or weird that maybe I would like have a path in life he couldn't have. He also clearly was very insecure, like just a lot of insecurity about this guy. I did occasionally have classes with him because I took tons of art classes, so I would have classes with him and whatever, and there was always kind of this weird tension in our relationship. And one day he comes to me like towards the end of the semester and he's like, hey Andy, I would really love for you to like over the weekend, like I'm trying to get better as a teacher. Could you like write down some of the things you think I do best as a teacher and some of the things you think I struggle with the most, and we could talk about it next week? And I was like, okay, sure. Yeah, I can do that.
That's a crazy thing to say to a child.
Well, just you wait. So I come in the next week and he's like, the class ends. We have a little bit of time or whatever, you know, in between periods. He's like, hey, like, let's have this chat now. Like, what are the things? And I forget what I said. I'd like written down some things or like prepared some notes. And he's like, thank you for that feedback. I appreciate that. He's like, now I'm going to do you.
Oh no!
What the hell?
And even worse. And he then breaks off his favorite and least favorite things about me as a student, and I'm just like, brother, I just don't care. Like,
oh wow,
I don't care what you think about me as a student.
Wait, what was his least favorite thing about you that he said to you?
I'm sure he said I had some sort of like ego or something. That was probably something I had going for me.
He was kind of not wrong.
Are you kidding me? No, come on.
He probably wasn't wrong, but
sure, but you don't talk to a child like that.
The funny thing is, like, truly, I just didn't care. I was like, I don't care what you think about me.
Of course not.
Which, of course, I'm sure made him really upset because all he wanted was me to care about like what he thought about me.
Yeah.
And so I think he thought he was gonna like, you know, have this big moment where it was gonna like change the path of my life, and I was just like, okay, bye.
The classic setup so that he can just tell you unsolicited opinions.
Right. Now I'm going to do you.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
And I was like, that wasn't really the deal, but okay, hit me, brother.
I mean, it's also funny, like, for me, the, like, life-changing things that teachers said were just, like, just some, like, random, like, offhanded comment that just, like, stuck in the back of my brain, just never went away, and, like, now my entire worldview. Thank you, Roy Lovell, for saying that one offhanded comment that, like, yeah.
Shout out to Roy.
Roy. Hey, I know this is not...
Hit him with some of those horns, Matthew. What's up, Roy?
I'm sure this is not in question, but I do just want to say you are indeed incredibly talented.
Hey, thanks, Patrick. I appreciate that.
I think that, and I look up to both of you. I feel like I've learned so much from you. All right, I have a random drop that I want to hit.
We do have like 5 minutes.
All right, it's not going to take me 5 minutes.
Anthony's got to walk home before our meeting.
We could just take our meeting
here.
It's
not going to take me 5 minutes. This is going to feel like it's out of left field, and it kind of is, but I feel like a lot of people don't realize that I'm the 4th member of Lucky Paper behind the scenes.
Parker 3?
Yeah, Parker's 3.
Okay.
Well, I was the 5th when Jet was involved. And anyways, I don't come to the mic a lot, and I wanted to use this opportunity to say something.
You do a lot behind the scenes, I should say. We don't talk about that, but so much
I
behind
feel
the
like
scenes.
people don't realize it. Yeah, sort of the heart and soul.
You're sort of sliding into your commissioner role in 2026.
Yes. I'm going to close my eyes and just get this out real quick. It's a tough time of year, and I just want to say to everyone listening, and especially the men out there, talk about your feelings, lads. Don't kill yourself. I've had some people in my life really struggling with it. I've had some other people in my life who have killed themselves because they couldn't take it. It doesn't have to be like that. It feels like it's the only solution sometimes. That's not always the case. So come play Magic. Talk to your friends. It's cold, it's dark, it's hard, but it's going to be warm again someday soon. Thank you.
A beautiful message, Patrick, that could, in fact, not be more out of left field. But I appreciate the sentiment.
It is all about the gathering.
Yeah, no, seriously. Don't kill yourself, lads.
All right, on that bombshell, that is the end of this episode of Lucky Paper Radio. You can support us on Patreon if you want. You can find everything else we do on luckypaper.co. All the music for this show is produced by DJ James Nasty, and the show is edited by Matthew, whose beep button got a lot of work this episode. Really worn in that beep button. All the Magic cards are produced by Wizards of the Coast, and this podcast is produced by thinking really hard about Magic cards and speaking into microphones about it. Anthony and Patrick, thank you for the gift of friendship and for the gift of Cube.
My brothers, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for lunchboxing together. It was good to be in two pods and never play against you.